Mrs. Roop Brar, President, Mr. Harpratap Singh Brar, General Secretary, Dr. Sidhu, Principal, management and staff, students of the Guru Nanak National College, children of the school, ladies and gentlemen. At the outset, let me begin by confessing that this program has been a long time in the offing. My association with your President and your General Secretary goes back decades now. I can tell you stories about your General Secretary that he will pay me good money not to share with all of you, because I've known him since we were literally about that high. I used to greatly look forward to the visits up to Sanar by your President, because she never came empty-handed. And for those of us who stayed in residential boarding schools, where food was in extremely short supply, what you see now in terms of your General Secretary and me, nice and healthy and reasonably full cheeks, we didn't look anything like this in school. So when we would hear that Mrs. Roop Brar had come up to school to pay a visit, Harpratap would suddenly become everybody's best friend, because the goodies that would come out, and for the next few days we were nice and full and our cheeks were glowing, and after that we'll go back to being thin again. But just for those few days, we were sort of the most special children in school. And therefore, when an invitation to come and address a college founded by the gentleman who is the father of Mrs. Roop Brar, the Nanaji of Harpratap, when an invitation like that comes, you don't turn it down. Now, it took a while to sort out the logistics, but finally I am here, and it's a matter of great privilege and pleasure for me to see exactly what it is I've heard about ever since I was a kid. In school, one would hear from Harpratap about the institution that his Nanaji had set up, and we always wondered what it was all about. Today, I've had the opportunity to see for myself, and I can tell you from what little experience that I do have, that this is an institution that is second to none in terms of both the physical infrastructure and the soft power. Physical infrastructure is easy to create. If you throw enough money at a problem, you can find some sort of a solution. And therefore you will find institutions with the most amazing buildings. They will be centrally air conditioned and they will be centrally heated, and there will be nothing that will be lacking in those institutions. But those institutions are probably worth very little if they don't have the soft power to go along with it. And the soft power is the people who use that infrastructure to impart you an education, to teach you something. And in that respect, the little interaction that I have had with Professor Sidhu, the principal, and the other senior members of the faculty has left me reassured that this is not an institution that has focused on the glamorous part of what a college should look like. It's focused on the practical side, which is that this is a classroom, this is the best classroom that we want to put, but with this good classroom, we want to give you the best possible teachers so that you can have an education that will prepare you to face the challenges that you are going to withstand tomorrow. And this world is full of challenges. Let us be under no illusions about that. I think the most important sort of wealth that an institution can give you is the power to think for yourself, is the power to make decisions for yourself, is the ability or the space to work out what is right and wrong for yourself. And I'll give you a small practical example, which surprisingly I was reading about today on the flight across to Chandigarh. You know, Chinese have this way about, they want to be the best at everything. And it really bothers the Premier of China that where football is concerned, they are probably, I think, 96 or 97 in the world rankings. Small island nations like the Faroe Islands actually rank higher than China does. And therefore, a lot of money is being pumped into football in China. I was reading about, this is where I talk about the hardware and the software coming together. An institution to teach children football has been set up somewhere in a rural part of China at the cost of about 170 million US dollars. They have about 26 or 28 full-size football fields and all the other infrastructure that you can require. They have an agreement with Real Madrid, the football team. 30 coaches from Real Madrid are at that institution imparting football training to kids. And when that coach was asked, how do you see these kids progressing? He says, well, they will reach a certain point and they will not go any further than that. And the correspondent was surprised and said, why? He said, because we can give them all the physical training that they require. We can give them the best food. We can give them the best equipment. But the problem is they're not conditioned to think for themselves. They can't think out of the box. They are conditioned that they will be taught that people will think for them, that the government will tell them what to do, that higher-ups will tell them what to do, that their parents will tell them what to do, that their officials will tell them what to do. And when they end up on a football field and a scenario that has not been taught to them unfolds, they don't know how to react. And therefore, they are better in individual sports than they are in team competitions. And I think that is what sets institutions like yours apart from institutions like those. Because they can spend $168 million to create an institution, but they can't teach children to think for themselves. And I think that is the wealth, along with the degree that we will hand out to you, along with the opportunities that we will hand out to you. I think the biggest wealth that we can give the children of our country today, whether up north, whether down south, east or west, we have to tell our children that, look, this is what we are giving you, but please go out and think for yourselves. Make your own mistakes, learn from your own mistakes. That is an advantage I had. That is an advantage Harpratap had. That is an advantage Mrs. Roopbrar had, because we were sent to a school where we learned to pick ourselves up. We learned to take the knocks that life gave us. We learned from it. We made mistakes. And we learned, I'd like to believe, we learned not to repeat those mistakes. And I think that is an invaluable lesson that no amount of book knowledge can give you. But the right institution, with the right framework of teachers and the right mindset, certainly can. And that is what you have here. You have an institution that starts you right from nursery and takes you right up to your degree level. Again, very rare do you see institutions like this. It's an institution that wants to focus on not just academics, because in today's world, academics is premier. But for an all-round development of a personality, you can't just focus on books. The fact that you have a basis in sport, that there is extracurricular activities that are going on, that NCC is being offered to you as an opportunity, again stands out against those institutions that only want to teach you how to repeat what is written in a book and nothing more than that. So, if nothing else, I'd like to believe that the years that you have spent here, whether from school or purely in the years that you have spent in college, these years will have prepared you to take on the challenges, because out of you will emerge the scientists that will come up with new discoveries. Out of you will emerge the economists that will help us solve the economic problems that we are facing. Out of you will come the products of the political science department, which incidentally I did not study. So practical politics and theoretical politics, I'm not sure what the correlation is, but I'd like to believe that some of you out of the political science department will go on to become administrators, whether in the police, whether in the IAS, whether in the foreign services, so many other services available to you. Practicing politicians. You know, I think it's very unfortunate, and I feel particularly disheartened when you go out and ask youngsters, what do you want to do? And they want to be doctors and engineers and computer scientists and everything else. And you ask somebody, do you want to be a politician? No, not politics. Why? It's a very dirty game. No, it's not. Trust me. I mean, yes, every field has bad apples. I challenge you to show me a field where everybody is, as they say, doodh ka dhula hua. And I don't think you will find one. You will find corrupt sports persons. You will find honest sports persons. You will find corrupt businessmen. You will find honest businessmen. You will find corrupt doctors and engineers. You will find honest ones. And the same is true for politics as well. But just because there are a few bad examples doesn't mean all of you say, no, we don't want to contribute. Because the single biggest contribution you can make is to do something that you enjoy doing and to do something in which you can make a difference. I could have done a whole lot of different things. And I did try. I started in the private sector. I didn't come straight into politics. I worked as a sales trainee in the Oberoi Hotel. My first job was to go knocking from door to door, literally, in office buildings and try and drum up business for the Oberoi Hotel in Delhi. I know the ins and outs of it. Any of you are familiar with Delhi, there's a road near Connaught Place called Barakhamba Road. I am familiar with the ins and outs of every building on Barakhamba Road because I went to every office in that building and I knocked on the door and I tried to get people to drum up business for the Oberoi Hotel. So that's how I started. But I realized that I wasn't contributing. My time wasn't being effectively used and I could do something different. And here I am today. And therefore for you, don't be afraid to experiment. Don't be afraid to try different avenues. You don't have to do what you're told to do. Try different things. I'm sure you will find your forte, you will find your mark in life. If you have the right foundation, if you have the right basis, success will definitely be yours. Again, I'm talking from example. I can't think of anybody in my class in school who has failed in life. They may have found different avenues, they may have found different careers. Harpratap is now administering an educational institution. A friend of mine is managing the race course in Bombay and Pune. Another friend of mine is a fashion designer. Different things which weren't taught to us in school per se. But because we were given the opportunity to think out of the box, we found careers that were out of the box as well. And therefore that is the last message I'm going to leave with you. Don't be afraid to think out of the box. So long as what you're doing is not illegal, so long as what you're doing is not immoral, as long as these two bases you keep, as long as you can sleep easy at night, knowing that you've done the right thing, please don't be afraid to think out, widen your horizons, because no matter what you do, if you keep these two things as your moral compass, you cannot fail. You will not fail yourselves, you will not fail your parents, you will not fail this institution, and if you don't fail those three groups, you will not fail your country either. So to all of you who are receiving your degrees today, my heartfelt congratulations. May this be the first day of the rest of your lives and the rest of your lives as a huge success. May you flower, may you bloom, and may you earn a great name for yourselves, your family, for this institution. And to those of you receiving your awards today, my heartfelt congratulations as well. I'm extremely grateful to Mrs. Roop Barar and to Harpratap for having given me this opportunity. I look forward to coming again because, as I said, this is an institution, this is a family with whom my association probably goes back much further than